Hello, everyone, and welcome into Senior Living Live. My name is Melissa. I hope you are having a fantastic day. Now, I have Ann Keaton joining me today to give a little preview of her webinar next week entitled How to Manage the Process of Senior Living. And we both live in Atlanta, Georgia. We've got a fantastic January day today. How are you?
I'm wonderful, and I'm very happy to be here with you, Melissa. And it is a beautiful day. No coats required.
That's right. It is gorgeous. No coats required, as you said. And we will see you January 21st at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And you will discuss types of grief and how we can help manage that grief. So, first things first, and can you give us some information about your background and how you are able to help seniors?
Yes, I would love to. So I am a certified life coach. I was certified in 2006 by the Coaches Training Institute, and I am a certified grief recovery specialist. So that certification was through the Grief Recovery Institute, and I am in the business of helping all kinds of people, definitely seniors, manage all kinds of loss. And I teach a step-by-step process, the grief recovery method, which is the only evidence-based grief support program out there. And it teaches people how to move beyond loss.
Well, we will talk about that in just a moment. I'm glad you brought that up. Now, Anne, we know the common triggers of grief, a death in the family, a divorce, major life changes. But what are some other examples of grief that you find people are maybe a little more hesitant to reach out and get help for?
Well, good question, Melissa. So there are over 40 different types of loss. Grief is much broader than death, although, as you say, death and divorce are the ones that we normally associate with grief. But anything that causes a change in the familiar pattern of behavior in life is a grief. So negative things cause grief, positive things cause grief, right? So death, divorce, job loss, pet loss, moving is one of the most overlooked forms of grief. And when you think about it, it makes sense that moving is grief, because when we move, all of the patterns of behavior change, right? So moving, loss of your home, loss of the ability to drive, loss of friends, loss of contact, with friends. As we get older, more friends die, right? So sometimes people will know that death is a form of grief, but they might think like, oh, well, losing my best friend, well, then everybody gets to start to worrying about the family members. So the spouse of the best friend who died, or the children of the best friend who died. And it's really easy to minimize what the experience of losing your best friend is like. And then the experience of losing several friends, even just acquaintances. Oh, the people that I went to church with that I don't get to see anymore, or the people that were on my tennis team. And maybe they've moved away. Maybe somebody hasn't died, but because people are in that phase of life where a lot of changes are happening, all of a sudden those friend groups have dwindled. So decreased contact, with friends, decreased contact with family, which of course is going on in the midst of COVID, right? I mean, that's a huge form of grief. And our tendency is to try and look on the bright side and, oh, I should be grateful because my family is healthy and alive. Well, of course, absolutely gratitude for that. But the fact is also true that there's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of loneliness, there may be a lot of anger or frustration that also goes with those separations. And that's all grief. And it's all legitimate, and it's natural and normal and unavoidable. And minimizing it or thinking that it's not grief is not helpful. It's not accurate, and it's not helpful.
And I think we can all see ourselves or have seen ourselves in almost every example that you have given. So if you are watching right now and you are in the middle of going through something that Anne just listed, you're going to want to tune into this webinar on January 21st. Great examples there, Anne. Now let's go back to discussing the grief recovery method. You are going to share a little bit about this during your webinar. What concepts do you find are most important in this method?
Good question. The number one concept that I would say is the most important is that with grief, we have three options. We implode, we explode, or we recover, right? So it doesn't like just go away, right? We actually have to do something. We say grief is like an emotionally flat tire. So imagine you're sitting on the side of the road with a flat tire and you say, oh, I'm just going to give it time. Well, what happens? That I've never seen a tire magically reinflate. Maybe somebody in our audience has had that experience. I'm going to be grateful for my 3 good tires. It could be so much worse. Well, that's intellectually true. It could be worse. A lot of times it could be worse. Most times it could be worse. But the fact that it could be worse doesn't mean that it's not bad. And the fact that you only have 1 flat tire instead of 4 doesn't make your 1 tire any less flat. And just like a flat tire in a car, like we have to do something about it. We can't just give it time. We can't just stay busy. We actually have to get out of the car and change the tire. So action is required. And what the grief recovery method does is teach people, and that's what I do every day, is teach people how to change those emotionally flat tires. So a lot of information that we have about grief says let go and move on, but nobody will tell you how. And most people are like, I'm trying really hard, but we don't know what to do because we haven't been taught the right skills. And so the grief recovery method teaches that step-by-step skill set for moving beyond loss. But even before you know that, it's critical to know that action is required. We don't just wait and hope that we'll feel better.
I love that flat tire analogy. It is excellent. Good stuff. Now, if someone is watching this video, even before your webinar, and they are experiencing a significant loss or are in the process of grieving, what can they do right now to help them get through it?
Well, the very easy answer is go online, go to Amazon.com or your favorite bookseller and get the book, The Grief Recovery Method, right? So that gives you actual, factual, helpful information about grief. And even if you're working with somebody like me, in the midst of a loss and a crisis, it can be very, very helpful to have your handy dandy book right at your fingertips so that when you wake up at 2 a.m, you've got something to read. When you're sitting there at 10 a.m. on Wednesday and you're feeling lonely, you're feeling sad, you're feeling mad, you've got something that you can hold on to, literally hold on to and then dive into. So that's number 1. Number 2 is to know that grief is full of conflicting feelings, right? So you're feeling okay, you're feeling optimistic, you're feeling hopeful, and then all of a sudden you're sad, you're mad, you're lonely, you're scared, you're frustrated, and it can make us feel like we're going crazy, right? So we've lost something, and then all of a sudden we feel like we're going crazy, and then it feels like we've lost ourselves. So I really want people to know that you're not going crazy. This is grief. Conflicting feelings are natural, they're normal, they're unavoidable. And when you see them show up, you can just say, oh, hello, conflicting feelings. I've been expecting you, and not know that the way you feel at any given moment, it doesn't mean that you're going to feel that way forever, right? It's going to change. You don't need to fight it. And then to acknowledge that this is grief. And that whether you think you should feel this way or not, the fact is you do feel this way. And there is something that can be done, and it's not just sitting around waiting, hoping it's going to get better.
Well, your webinar will allow people anonymously to ask questions. They can share their experiences. How important is it to make that step to admit that, hey, everything is not okay?
It's critical. Okay, again, I want you to think of the flat tire. I mean, imagine sitting on the side of the road and you say, oh no, I'm fine. I mean, I can't go home. I can't eat. I can't see my family members. I can't go to work. I mean, like having an emotionally flat tire, just like the physically flat tire, impacts every single area of our life. It diminishes our capacity for happiness. It uses up a ton of energy. It can lead to health problems. Again, I said earlier, with grief, we have 3 options. We implode, we explode, or we recover. So definitely choose recover. And there is a way to do that, and help is available. And it's not actually, it doesn't take years to do. right? But it's a matter of learning the right skills to be able to move forward. So reaching out is absolutely imperative.
Yeah, and I think that you're going to help provide people with this skill set, as you mentioned, that they didn't even know existed. And that's why we do these webinars. So, Anne, really good stuff today. We appreciate your time. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you.
Thank you. And I look forward to seeing everybody next Thursday at 3 p.m.
Yep, Thursday, January 21st, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And we will see you then. We hope to see all of you then. Have a great day, everybody.